Good day, ma'am censors and co-advocates of human rights and international humanitarian law. Once again, I'm NUP Melvin Oragasa from the Office of the Chief Philippine National Police Public Information Office. Today, I will discuss the nutshell of RA 9851, otherwise known as the Philippine Act on Crimes Against International Humanitarian Law, Genocide, and Other Crimes Against Humanity. For today's discussions, our objectives are for the participants to be able to reflect on the significance of RA 9851 in your duty as law enforcement officer, be familiar with the crimes against international humanitarian law, and identify the penalties of violating the international humanitarian law. Before we proceed with discussing RA 9851, let us first discuss international humanitarian law. International humanitarian law, or IHL, is a branch of public international law that consists of rules that, in times of armed conflict, seek for humanitarian reasons to protect persons who are not or no longer directly participating in the hostilities and to restrict means and methods of warfare. IHL protects those who are not or no longer participating in hostilities, such as civilians, medical and religious military personnel, wounded, shipwrecked and sick combatants, and prisoners of war. Recognizing their specific needs, IHL grants women and children additional protection. IHL concerns two situations: international armed conflict, which involve armed confrontation of at least two countries, and non-international armed conflict, which takes place in one country, such as those between a government and rebel forces. IHL applies to all parties to a conflict regardless of who started it. The Philippines has been a long-standing state party to the four Geneva Conventions, namely, First Geneva Convention for the Amelioration of the Condition of the Wounded and Sick in Armed Forces in the Field, which was ratified in 1864. Second Geneva Convention for the Amelioration of the Condition of Wounded, Sick, and Shipwrecked Members of Armed Forces at Sea, which was ratified in 1906. Third Geneva Convention relative to the treatment of prisoners of war, ratified in 1929. Fourth Geneva Convention relative to the protection of civilian persons in times of war, ratified in 1949. There are two additional protocols of 1977 and other key IHL treaties. In fulfillment of its international commitments and because of the continuing existence of internal armed conflicts in the country up to the present, the Philippine government has enacted domestic legislations to provide effective penal sanctions for those who have violated or are violating IHL within and even outside its jurisdiction. One of which is RA 9851, the Philippine Act on Crimes Against International Humanitarian Law, Genocide, and Other Crimes Against Humanity, which was signed on December 11, 2009 and came into effect in 2010. RA 9851 became relevant to the Siege of Marawi, also known as the Marawi Crisis and the Battle of Marawi, Labanan sa Marawi, which according to reports was a 5-month-long armed conflict in Marawi, Philippines that started on May 23, 2017 between Philippine government security forces and militants affiliated with the Islamic State, including the Maute and Abu Sayyaf Salafi jihadist groups. The battle also became the longest urban battle in the modern history of the Philippines. Per report, Maute group militants attacked Camp Paranao and occupied several buildings in the city, including Marawi City Hall, Mindanao State University, a hospital, and the city jail. They also occupied the main street and set fire to St. Mary's Cathedral, Ninoy Aquino School, and Dansalan College, run by the United Church of Christ in the Philippines. The militants also took a priest and several churchgoers hostage. Moreover, the Maute group targeted and brutally killed Christians or anyone who couldn't recite Shahada, a profession of Muslim faith. Victims of pro-ISIL fighters were either held hostage or killed. Hostages were tortured and abused, made to forage for food, collected, and buried cadavers, dug foxholes for fighters, made IEDs, were forced to fight the army or used as sex slaves. Those attempting to escape were shot or beheaded. Two members of the Maute group has been found guilty of rebellion and of raping a minor who was taken hostage during the said siege of Marawi City in 2017. Acting Presiding Judge Felix Reyes of Taguig Regional Trial Court Branch 70 sentenced Junaid Makauyag Awal alias Vice Junaid and Junaid Romato to 8 to 14 years in prison for rebellion and to reclusion perpetua for rape or sexual slavery under Republic Act No. 9851. The court said that the bestial, cruel, and inhuman acts committed by Awal constituted rape of extreme gravity and should be punished under RA 9851. Those are the relevant aspects of RA 9851 that we will discuss thoroughly during our lecture proper. Again, thank you for listening, our beloved participants, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you during our online class. God bless.